Welcome to the A Monday Moment with Dr. Mal podcast, where each week I, Dr. Mal, share life lessons and motivation to kickstart your Monday. Whether you're starting your day or winding down, join me or me and my future guest for a burst of positivity and a fresh perspective. Let's make Mondays meaningful together. Greetings and happy Monday, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Mallory D. McCoy, and welcome to this week's episode of A Monday Moment with Dr. Mal. As always, may this broadcast bring you what you need in the present moment. May my light exude positivity and kindness, and may my love be extended to all who could use a little extra. Ashe. Let's seize the moment. I'm really glad that you are here today because this episode is both a threshold for me and a truth for us all. Even though I've been speaking about astrology and talking about the services that I offer as far as tarot and oracle card readings, this is the first time that I've ever done an episode like this and in such a public way. I've kept my readings pretty private because I believe that many of the messages I deliver are not messages intended for everyone. In fact, they're really specific, they're really sacred, and they're meant for the person that's receiving them. If you're curious about the integrity of my work, you can check my Google reviews for my business. I enjoy what I'm doing, and I'm really, really good at it. Men lie, women lie, but my Google reviews do not, baby. My brand has always been rooted in lived experience. It's my real life. And I've been very open about what I've walked through, survived, healed, and integrated. But what I don't always say out loud is how learning astrology and studying the sky changed my life in ways I never knew it would. I mean, yes, I've blogged about it, I've mentioned it here and there, but the truth is, astrology has helped me understand myself more deeply than I've ever understood myself before. It's helped me to understand the dynamics of all of my relationships, romantic, platonic, and familial. And most importantly, it's helped me to see how the movements of the stars affect us, not just individually, but collective. Which brings me to a concept in the book, The Alchemist, which I just read. I read in like a half of a day, or actually a morning the other day. But the concept in The Alchemist speaks to this beautifully. The idea of the soul of the world, and that while each of us is on our own individual journey, we are also participating in something shared, something collective, and something alive. That's the lens that I'm using here with this Soul Collective forecast. And so this forecast is not a departure from the work that I do all the time, but it's an extension of it. And in that, I want to be clear about something else too. This forecast is not a prediction and it's not fate carved in stone. Think of it as the weather of the stars because astrology works a lot like a weather report. I can't tell you exactly what will happen on your street, in your house, and in your life, but I can tell you what kind of energy is moving through the atmosphere. Is it storm season? Is it time to plant? Is the ground thawing? Is the heat rising? The sky gives us context to our life, and awareness to it allows us to move with intention instead of surprise. So let's get into it. Before I go any further, I want to give credit where credit is due. The framework of this episode comes from one of my favorite astrologers online, Miguel Silva of planetary.oracle.333 on Instagram. Miguel outlined what he calls the 7 major shifts of 2026. And when I saw them laid out in that way, my spirit immediately said, this is the language you need to use for this podcast. So I'm not claiming the awareness to these shifts as my own. I'm honoring them and translating them for the Soul Collective through my lens, my spiritual practice, and the messages I received using my pendulum and cards ahead of time. Here's some footage of me doing exactly what I'm describing. My method is very intuitive and it is unique to me because I'm receiving the messages. Although we are consistently receiving collective messages, these are messages being downloaded directly to me. And so I'm grateful for his collective guidance to inspire me and help guide me as I guide you. So go follow him for some really deep astrological insights. He's dope. Now, before we talk about planets, we need to talk about movement. According to Chinese astrology, most of 2025 has been governed by the wood snake energy. The snake is about survival, shedding, instinct, and protection. And the wood part adds patience, slow growth, and deep internal restructuring. As I say that, deep internal restructuring, pick me. That's been my whole 2025. Many of us have shed skins quietly and let go of identities that we grew quietly. But I feel like mine was very violent. Thank you to the wood snake energy for helping me to shed the things that I need to shed in order to be my best self in the version that I am right now. But it's important to be clear because clear is kind. So I want you to take note that this energy doesn't move on January 1st. I know. We have all adopted the Gregorian calendar as the calendar that we use. That's the capitalist calendar. But there are other calendars in the world. The lunisolar calendar is what's based in Chinese astrology. So really the energetic handoff of this wood snake to fire horse happens on February 17th during a new moon in Aquarius. And although Chinese astrology and Western astrology are not directly connected, it makes so much sense that we would move as a collective from one energy to another under the Aquarian moon because Aquarius energy is all about the collective. It makes sense and perfectly connects. So as I mentioned, we're moving into this fire horse energy. The horse represents momentum, freedom, courage, and forward motion. And fire doesn't whisper, it ignites. Ask me how I know. I'm a whole Leo sun, Leo moon, Sagittarius rising with a Sagittarius stellium in my first house. That's all of me over here. I'm the personified version of it's getting hot in here. So if January and early February feel like a waiting room for you with this energy, that's because it actually is. And the momentum doesn't begin until mid-February. To add to that, energetically, we are completing a 9-year cycle of endings. Now, many people are calling this new year, 2026, a year of beginnings, but I want to add some numerology nuance here because it's actually a 10-year. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6 equals 10. Can be reduced to 1, but the 0 is so important because 1 signifies our self, our choice, our embodiment, but 0 signifies source. And let me tell you, I know I do nothing alone. I know every step that I take is either guided or co-created. So we're going to call 2026 the year of co-creation. And this is beautiful because we really are the co-creators of our lives. I've done nothing without source, without my spirit team, without my ancestors at my back. At several of my family members, my older family members' houses, they would have a picture called Footprints. And there was a poem on there with individual footsteps in the sand. Go look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. But it was literally in every Christian grandma's home. When I think of a time where I couldn't be a co-creator and I needed to be carried and I was carried, that's exactly the picture that I see in my mind. This footprints and the footprints in the sand. So without further ado, let's walk through the 7 major shifts of 2026. I have been directed to pull 3 cards for each shift. The number 3 has been the bedrock of my life. 3 means that God is with us, God is with you. And it's also a pattern that I feel like we're all collectively in because we do not walk alone. And actually, one of my cards shows it. So anyway, here we go. Let's get into it. The first major shift that happens astrologically is when Neptune re-enters Aries. So we've been in a Neptune and Pisces energy, and now we're moving into Aries. This happens January 26, 2026, and it stays in Aries until May 21st, 2038. So this is a really impactful shift to the collective. Neptune is the planet of dreams, illusion, spirituality, and fantasy. And Aries is the energy of identity, courage, and selfhood. So when Neptune, the planet of dreams and illusions, re enters Aries, the sign of self, the head, the fog begins to lift. And ultimately, this shift challenges savior narratives and living in potentiality instead of truth. The collective will no longer be able to hide behind smoke and mirrors. The overall theme of this energy is authentic identity is non negotiable. It can be the only thing that exists. And my carpool mirrors that exactly. So, actually, the card pull started with the Nine of Fire Integrity card, which tells us that this isn't about becoming someone new. It's about integrating who you already are. And if you're struggling with understanding what integration is, I need you to look it up because it's really important. It's taking those lessons that you've learned and putting them into practice. This card speaks to wholeness, alignment, the sun and moon in communication. There is no longer a split between who you are privately and who you present publicly. Aspects of the self that were once dormant and lying inside are now fully coming online. Masks fall away. Performative identities collapse. You can no longer wear your mask. You can't hide. Dominant personality traits that were shaped by survival, approval, or expectation begin to dissolve. This is not a chaotic energy for this time. It's actually a clarifying energy, which we've already experienced a lot of this in the wood snake energy. But now we're in a long window of time where we're going to have this clarifying energy surrounding us, which is why the message that came through was so clearly. And I heard this song when I saw the lineup of the cards. It said, I can see clearly now the shit is gone. Yeah, you can't hide behind it. Can't go over it, can't go under it, have to go through it. Yeah, there's no fog left behind. And then the Knight of Pentacles rides up and grounds this shift into reality. This isn't people choosing themselves impulsively or dramatically. It's people choosing themselves consistently. So with the Knight of Pentacles energy, it's about that hard work. It's not going to happen overnight. It's patient, it's steady, and we're going to move through this energy collectively and on a consistent basis. We're going to hold ourselves accountable to this energy. The Knight of Pentacles also says choosing yourself becomes a daily practice, not a personality announcement. People will no longer abandon their own truth for comfort. They will no longer perform spiritual growth while remaining disconnected from themselves, which I've seen a lot. There's a lot of people online regurgitating things that they've learned from someone else without actually going through the process of doing the soul work for themselves. And I'm here to tell you that you will be able to see, and this energy will help us to distinguish who's went through it and who hasn't went through it. Baby, pick me. I've been in the trenches for a few years now. So here I am standing up and proudly proclaiming that I am the energy that you can learn from and you can assure I have done the work. As Ayanla says, I did my work. Yes, I have done my work. And lastly, Kepri change card energy just confirms that this is a rebirth moment. Just like the scarab rolling the sun across the sky, identity is being reformed through action, not illusion. This is the end of false savior narratives, pretending to be confused when clarity is already present, it's already in your face, and hiding behind potential instead of living in truth. Neptune in Aries does not allow self-deception, to survive. What emerges instead is integrity-based identity. Who you are, how you move, and what you commit to all finally match up. This is the year people stop asking, who do I need to be? And start saying, this is who I am. And they're willing to do the work to stand in it. Ashe, yes, let's do it. The next major shift of 2026 is when Saturn re-enters Aries. And this happens February 13th, 2026, and it takes us to April 12th, 2028. Woo-wee! Saturn is the planet of responsibility, boundaries, karma, and maturity. And Aries, again, is the energy that governs the self. So with Saturn and Aries, this brings discipline to identity. Responsibility becomes an act of love. Honesty outshines ego. Boundaries becomes tools, not defenses, and real connections form when both people show up. Can't be one-sided. We can no longer have one-sided relationships. This shift asks us, what are we finally ready to take responsibility for? Where do our boundaries need to be stronger? And what cycles are we done repeating? So the overall theme here is the end of chaos cycles. Choose mastery or be dragged by patterns. Okay. This card set that is in front of you is not subtle at all. The Eight of Cups opens this message. And anytime I get a card from this deck, it is indicating that there is a death of some form. Not a physical death, but a spiritual death, a mental death, an energy death. Something is dying and something is final. But this is not a dramatic exit because of the time that Saturn is going to be in Aries. This is more like, nah, we're done for real, and we're going to be done until the end of time. So this particular card, Eight of Cups, says, you already know this doesn't work anymore. How many of you are in a situation like that? You already know this doesn't work anymore. What's working is not working. There's no confusion here. There's no second guessing. There's no maybe it'll change. This is the soul walking away because staying would require self-betrayal. Ask me how I know. Saturn in Aries does not allow lingering. It demands decision. Then we land right in the center with the Two of Pentacles. And Spirit said, let's make this obvious. Look at this card. Look at it. It's a whole wood snake. Still coiling, still looping, still trying to balance chaos instead of end it. This is the merry-go-round that we're no longer going to be on. This card reveals that the pattern Saturn is bringing, we're done tolerating juggling emotional labor. We're done managing instability. We're done mistaking endurance for strength. And we're done calling chaos growth. We're done. You've been working too hard to maintain what should have ended. And take that as you will. And Saturn is not impressed by effort without alignment, which is why this set ends with the Magician. This is the turning point. The Magician energy says you are no longer a participant in the cycle. You are the architect of the outcome. No more blaming timing. No more waiting for others to change. No more tolerating dynamics that drain your life force. Okay? This fire horse energy that's coming along with this is activating swift decisions, clean boundaries, and decisive action. The Magician isn't chaotic. He's precise, intentional, and focused. So this shift makes one thing clear for the collective. If you stay on the merry-go-round now, it's a choice. It's not a lesson anymore because this Saturn and Aries energy removes tolerance for misalignment. What once felt complicated now feels unacceptable, right? This is the end of chaos as a lifestyle. This is the end of survival as identity. And this is the end of cycles that require you to shrink, juggle, or perform resilience. Perform resilience. I had to say that again. What replaces it is self-led mastery. And once this choice is made,
There's no going back. Hey, right? The third major shift of 2026 is when Uranus re-enters Gemini. It's already been in Gemini for a little bit, but it's coming back April 25th, 2026, and staying with us until August 3rd, 2032. These are these outer planets. These are these heavy energy shifts. So absolutely, Uranus and Gemini is going to give it to us. Uranus is the planet of awakening, disruption, and truth. And Gemini governs communication, language, and conversation. So when Uranus enters Gemini, silence becomes impossible and truth becomes impossible to run from. And truth does not just surface, it demands expression. This shift brings overdue conversations and sudden clarity to all of us as the collective. The overall theme here in this energy is radical honesty in connection. The truth sets us free. And this card pull was on point. It was on point. I started with the Great Void, the Aditi card. It anchors this message at the highest level because, again, this is not chaos. This is pure potential. None of this energy with the bigger planets is coming in as chaos because it's not a short energy. It's a long time energy. So this is the pure potential of us as a collective, right? Aditi reminds us that before anything is created, there is emptiness. I think of how plants grow. There's nothing, there's darkness, and then it grows into something, right? For the collective, this specifically speaks to relationships because Gemini is the dual energy, right? And not just romantic relationships, platonic and familial relationships being reimagined from the ground up, not reworked, not negotiated, recreated. Flip the table energy, right? The messaging here is we are no longer building relationships from fear, scarcity, or survival. We are building them from clarity. And then the happy renewal card energy that's coming in, this is the cleansing energy. Notice all the blue on the card. I love looking at the pictures on the card. Look at all the blue. Water is very cleansing. Emotional stagnation clears. Old communication patterns dissolve. People stop saying what's good and start saying what's true, right? This is where conversations happen that change everything. Naming needs without apology, redefining agreements, speaking desires without shrinking. Silence is no longer protective, it's restrictive. And then we have Gang Gang Sarah, resistance, which tells the shadow story plainly. The resistance isn't about others, it's eternal. Look at her. Look at her. She's being wrapped by the tree. It's going inside. You're scared you're going to mess this up. But the energy exposes the fear of showing up honestly, especially in love. Especially in love. But this guidance is firm and compassionate. Again, look at the card. Look how compassionate it is. This is a new day. We got to learn to show up for ourselves. For yourself. Show up for yourself. Uranus and Gemini liberates the collective from people-pleasing communication. Ooh, yes. From staying quiet to keep the peace, and from betraying truth to preserve connection. This is the beginning of the spiritually aligned partnership for the collective. Not because people are doing it right, because they're finally doing it honestly. We've been lying. Relationships that can't hold truth will fall away. Those that can will deepen in ways that feel grounding, mutual, and safe. And this shift will ultimately teach us that being understood starts with being honest. And once that honesty is spoken, there's no going back to silence. The fourth major energy shift of 2026 is when Chiron enters Taurus. We've been in Chiron and Aries for a while. Now we're moving in June to Chiron and Taurus, June 19th exactly. And we will stay there as a collective until 2033, but it's going to move out in September of 2026 and come back April 2027. Chiron represents our deepest wounds and our greatest medicine. Taurus governs self-worth, safety, the body, pleasure, and stability. It's that earth sign. So when Chiron enters Taurus, the collective begins healing the places where pain became normalized, especially in love. Healing becomes somatic, remember, of the body. That's that Taurian energy. This shift reveals where worth has been negotiated for security. Self-worth is non-negotiable in this energy. Emotional safety is the number one priority, and your relationships will shift as your self-worth grows. You stop abandoning yourself just to be connected. Love doesn't have to hurt to mean something, right? The overall theme here in this energy is healing the wound of worth. Love no longer hurts. Spirit popped out with the Six of Swords to open this message, and there again is my death deck. The symbolism is unmistakable. So the Six of Swords energy is not just moving on. It's literally leaving an old identity behind. Look at the card. She's leaving her old identity behind. And this is relational, right? An identity that learned that love equals pain. Attachment requires sacrifice, and stability must be earned through endurance. There's that endurance word that comes back wrapped up in performative strength. No, we don't have to do this anymore. The Six of Swords here marks a mental, emotional, and energetic departure from suffering as a baseline. The collective is crossing from survival into peace, and it's not a dramatic peace. It's a quiet peace, the kind that lets the nervous system finally exhale. And then we meet the Knight of Pentacles. And this card is crucial in this set because the healing doesn't happen all at once. Again, it happens through consistency. It happens through patience. It happens through repetition, showing up for yourself even when no one else does. The Knight of Pentacles says, self-worth is rebuilt through daily choices, not emotional breakthroughs. This is where people stop abandoning themselves to stay connected, right? Where they stop romanticizing struggle, where they learn that safety is not boring, it's sacred. And finally, Nanabuluku, seasons, the seasons card brings the ancestral wisdom of timing. So this card reminds us as the collective that healing unfolds in seasons. You cannot rush what must be rooted. We have to get this lesson. That we got a long time to get it, till 2033. We got a long time to get this lesson because these are wounds that didn't form overnight. We're carrying the wounds of our ancestors, and we're healing the wounds of those ancestors. I have a real deep faith in the collective. We are not going to continue to carry this anymore because it's not going to work for us, you know? And so we're going to let it go. And Chiron and Taurus energy honors this truth without letting it define our future for our future generations. And for all of us, I wish swift healing, especially if you have this wound in your natal birth chart. I have some friends that do. The healing with these particular wounds happened for me during my Chiron and Aries transit because these very wounds have become my identity, especially around love. And I learned that because love always hurt, my identity had never known a love that didn't hurt. So I'm excited to have gone before so that I can help others build unshakable self-worth and serve as the amplifier of the message that a version of you may need to hear. Love doesn't hurt. Love feels good. It feels good in every way, but especially in the body. And this Chiron and Taurus will take us all there, like as I said, because it ends an era of suffering as identity. And what replaces it is grounded love. Taurus is earth energy, earned peace, and a life that actually feels good to live. This next energy got me hype. The fifth major energy shift that happens is when Jupiter enters Leo. Right now it's in Cancer. Right now, actually, it's in Cancer retrograde, but it will be direct soon. And Jupiter enters Leo June 29th, 2026, and it stays there till July 25th, 2027. If you know anything about anything, Jupiter is the planet of expansion and abundance. It expands everything and blesses everything it touches. Leo governs the heart, creativity, confidence, and visibility. Is that fire for real? Ask me how I know. So when Jupiter enters Leo, the heart expands. This is the season of joy, courage, and unapologetic expression. Let yourself shine in ways you've never let yourself shine before. Confidence is your new language, and you got a new attitude because joy, warmth, and self trust are at the center of it all. Joy is your birthright, it's not a reward. The overall theme here in this energy is liberation, confidence, and joy that protects the self. The first card was the double reverse card. And actually, it's no surprise because it gives us undeniable clarity. This is the liberation. This is independence. This is release from bondage. This is freedom from cycles of control, shame, and self imposed limitation. What once felt addictive, obligatory, or emotional binding begins to lose its grip. This card says, you are no longer ruled by what once had power over you. Joy becomes impossible because the chains are gone. And then we see the Seven of Wands card. And this is important because the Seven of Wands energy, that means the joy is going to be earned. The Seven of Wands acknowledges that the collective didn't arrive here easily. People had to defend their growth, protect their truth, and stand firm when doubt, jealousy, or projection tried to knock them back down. And Spirit is clear here. You deserve to be here. All of us deserve to be here. So this card says confidence is not arrogance, it's earned self-trust. Not trust from outside, trust from within. And to the card that took my breath away, this Mawalisa. In my own personal readings, I have gotten Mawalisa cards, this duality of energy, but I have never seen this card before. And I've had this deck since I started reading cards. I love the feminine energy in all of these card pulls, but this specific one feels like the masculine becomes more protective of the feminine. Look at it. The woman looks young and wise at the same time, and there's a great balance. She's also giving me Leo energy with her big hair. So this card is truly the soul of Jupiter in Leo. Divine balance, feminine and masculine, and sacred harmony, creation, hell, feminine is creation, and protected and witnessed. Look at that. The feminine is radiant, wise, embodied, and creative, and the masculine is present, grounded, and protective, and not overpowering. Notice how he doesn't overpower her. He's not laying his body on her, he's just around her. He's putting his energy around her in a devotion way, not a dominating way. This card shows us as the collective how power is meant to function. Confidence without ego. Heavy on without ego part. Visibility without performance, and protection without possession. This is regal joy. The heart is finally free. Jupiter in Leo teaches us that joy is the fuel, joy is the medicine, and joy is the leadership. We are going to lead with joy. And when joy returns, creativity follows. No more of this logical thought process, this very masculine way of living. When creativity flows, confidence builds. And when confidence is embodied by the people that have all of these, the world responds. We collectively respond because joy is going to no longer be optional. It's the strategy. The sixth major energy shift of 2026 is actually a collection of energies that are going to be shifting over the course of the year, starting with the nodes shifting into Leo and Aquarius on July 26, 2026, 2 days before my birthday, and the 2026 eclipses. So there's 4 different eclipses in 2026, 2 solar and 2 lunar. The nodes point to destiny and release. So astrologically speaking, the north node is your destiny marker and your south node is what you need to release in this lifetime. And then our eclipse energy is our cosmic reset buttons. And so when the nodes shift and the eclipses activate, fate doesn't ask politely, it reclaims balance, snatches it. And with the north node shifting into Aquarius and the south node shifting into Leo, relationships will surely be redefined. Karmic cycles will close, alignment replaces intensity, and destiny becomes easier to recognize. The solar and lunar eclipses act as decision points, showing us what needs to end and what needs to begin. There are 4, as I said earlier, 2 solar and 2 lunar eclipses. Google the date so you're aware of when the energy shifts, because when it comes, you should expect these energies to reset the patterns that no longer support your evolution. But the overall theme here in this energy is the end of patriarchal control. Sovereignty is restored. When I literally saw this Queen of Pentacles card, I heard the patriarchy dies. But not in one moment though, right? Because it's a sweep of energy. It's like sweeping around our own front door. And this Queen of Pentacles, if you look at it, it tells the story immediately. She's grounded, she's self-sustaining, she's rooted in worth, body, land, and value. And yes, the imagery matters. Look at, she's holding the pentacle and the skeleton figure is reaching for the pentacle. And that skeleton figure actually represents the old power, the old way of doing things. It's a system that believes it still gets to take what it no longer owns. You don't own me, is what I just heard. So this is the collective reckoning that we're going into. Women reclaiming resources, femmes reclaiming labor, time, and value, and people reclaiming authority over their own lives. This card says what was taken through control is returned through consciousness. The Queen does not fight. Look at her. She's not fighting. The Queen does not panic. She simply refuses to give it up. In all shape, fashion, and sense of the word and the phrase. Then comes the Knight of Swords. This is the energy of truth and motion, right? It's not passive awakening. This is actually decisive disruption. Voices rise, systems are questioned, old narratives collapse under direct inquiry. It's the death of, because this is how it's always been. Nah. We can't even carry that energy through 2026 into 2027. The Knight of Swords says, we are no longer asking for permission to tell the truth. And then this is the card that seals this shift. I am protected by Source. This is the spiritual assurance that makes this transformation irreversible. There's no going back, right? Because what is happening here is not rebellion, it's realignment. We're getting back to the original, which I'm going to even talk about that in the last major shift. The collective is no longer driven by fear, shame, or survival programming. Protection replaces punishment. Trust replaces control. This card says you do not need to prepare for the worst anymore, right? We're not even talking about the larger Pluto and Aquarius energy. This is a revolutionary time. These eclipses will expose power imbalances, resource hoarding, and emotional and economic exploitation. And they also restore self-trust, inner authority, and embodied sovereignty. So here we go. The feminine is no longer needing to be guarded. She is guarded. The masculine no longer dominates. It either evolves or exits. You got to get out. You got to get out the way. And power is no longer taken in its claim. You see, destiny is not cruel this season. It's being corrective. The shift doesn't destroy what is healthy, it dismantles what is outdated. And what replaces patriarchy is not chaos, it's balance, protection, and collective integrity. And in the infamous words of Claudius Templesmith, let the games begin. And if you get that reference, we could be friends. And the 7th major energy shift of 2026 is when Venus retrogrades in Scorpio and Libra. This will happen between October 3rd, 2026 and November 13th, 2026. Venus rules love, desire, values, and self-worth. Scorpio rules truth, shadows, and emotional depth. And Libra rules balance, harmony, and relational integrity. So when Venus retrogrades through Scorpio and Libra energies, love doesn't just perform, it confesses, right? Hidden truths surface and patterns dissolve. The overall theme here in this energy is shame dissolves and love returns us to our natural state. And the first card, let me tell you, when I pulled this first card, I just could not stop looking at it. This is another card that I've never seen before in my personal pools or the card pools that I've had with my clients. I've never seen this card, but she looks so at peace in her natural state. She's unapologetic and she's whole. And this card doesn't just say we are getting back to ourselves. It says we are getting back to how things were always meant to be. Our ancestors knew something we forgot. There's nothing shameful about being embodied, emotional, or whole. And this energy makes sense to come after the burst of confidence we get with the Jupiter and Leo shift. But look at all around her. Everything guides us back to the original energy that holds us, the original energy that moves us, our ancestral energy. And I think that this is a beautiful. Then came the Hanged One card. And this is where the medicine here gets a little deeper, because this card tells us as the collective to stop seeing stillness as punishment and start seeing it as a practice. It's okay to be by yourself. It's okay to be alone. It's okay to be with your thoughts. It's okay to be with you. The Hanged One is not stuck energy. It's just they're choosing the perspective. We get to choose the perspective. So this Venus retrograde may feel uncomfortable at times because it's asking us to sit with old feelings. It's asking us to revisit past relationship patterns, and it's asking us to stay present with emotions we once avoided. But Spirit reframes this beautifully because it begs the question, what if discomfort is simply a posture that strengthens the soul? Think about the inversion. Look at the card. Look at her being averted. I love that she has tennis shoes on. So like an uncomfortable yoga pose, this pause builds capacity, it teaches patience, and it restores clarity. Love tells the truth when we stop rushing away what feels tender. And then the Page of Wands. Here's another death thing that's happening. Something's dying, but it's the death of shame-based desire. It's the death of performative attraction, and it's the death of passion that burns but doesn't nourish. Who's felt that before? What's born instead is curiosity without fear, desire without apology, creative embodied life force. The Page of Wands doesn't carry baggage, they carry spark. So this card is saying, when the shame melts, passion returns, not recklessly, but freely. And I love that. And then this Venus retrograde completes these 7 major shifts, bringing us home to ourselves. And as shame dissolves, love becomes simpler, truer, and more embodied. And when Venus then goes direct again, the collective doesn't chase love anymore, it recognizes it. And I love this energy because it helps those who are not already aware of the patterns in their life to not only become aware, but to understand why those patterns exist. I've personally been blessed in my life to have the innate ability to recognize patterns in different areas of life since I was a little girl. That's the reason why I felt like I was so quick to get things, because I was able to see the pattern in them. And when I found the ones that didn't serve me, I released them. I'm living that life right now. Not immediately and not all at once, though. It was pretty violent and it took some time, but that's why they say when people are in a dynamic that doesn't serve them and you on the outside is able to see that it doesn't serve them, there's nothing you can do about it until they're ready to see it for themselves. It's simply easier to see someone else's situation because you're on the outside looking in, and it's 10 million times more difficult to see it for yourself. But this energy, this Venus retrograde moving through Scorpio and Libra, help enlighten more people to the patterns and help them release them. Before I close, I want to say this gently and clearly. If you're interested in how these transits or any other transits work for you individually, I am offering detailed astrology reports. The basic report just outlines all of your signs and all of your planets and what they mean. The advanced report dives deeper into degrees, houses, and aspects. Basically, this report tells you how each energy is aligned to help the other energies or work against the energies. We call these conjunctions and oppositions here in the astrology world. And friends, you just can't put your birth chart in Chat GPT. It doesn't work. You have to have a level of understanding with your birth chart because Chat GPT doesn't always get it right. So if you're interested in that, visit my website and you can purchase a report there. I do also offer compatibility reports, and I wanted to offer this particular report because understanding and knowing the astrology of people that I've related to has helped me to grow in exponential ways, whether that helped the relationship grow together or apart, it still was helpful. And it helped me more to understand that love is growing deeper in connection and also letting people go when the connection is no longer cohesive. And it helped me to be okay with being okay with that. Astrology helped me to be okay with being okay with both of those things, because it gives us the insight to make the best decision for ourselves. So that's the reason why I offer compatibility reports, again, available on my website. And then my last offering is an astrocartography reading. It's probably one of my most favorite reports to provide because it uses your birth chart to determine how you will thrive in the world. And I'm using my own astrocartography chart to move about the world. That's how I ended up in Mexico, and my future trips that I have planned for 2026, that's how I'll end up in those places because there's a lesson there that is outlined in my birth chart. I use it for myself, and so I'm so excited to offer that for other people. Astrology can tell you a lot of things, but these are my focal points. Another service that I offer are recorded tarot and oracle card readings. I've intentionally shifted away from live availability. I used to read live, but because I've come to understand just how expensive and sacred my energy is right now, and that it's not for everybody and not all the time, to protect myself and to protect my energy, I have decided to pre-record the messages that I send to others, and unapologetically, because if I'm not going to protect myself, then who will? So if you're meant to work with me in any of these ways, you'll feel it. Visit my website, whenmallorylives.com, for more information. So in this moment, let's pull all of this together. 2026 is not asking you to learn more. 2026 will be asking us to move differently, more free, more unbound, more intentional, more loving, and most of all, authentically. There are some major themes here, but the overall messaging is crystal clear. 2026 is the year the soul collective stops surviving, tells the truth, chooses itself, and moves forward with clarity, courage, and co-creation. And if you remember nothing else, remember this. February 17th is not just a new moon. It's when the soul collective stops shedding and starts moving like a fire horse. Put it in your calendar so when it moves, we move just like that. When it moves, we move just like that. Hey! Well, that's all for me in 2025. This is my last episode of 2025. I'm grateful for those that continue to support me. Join me in the Gregorian New Year with a new show format. My next show will be called The Move Was the Medicine, and I'll be talking about how I move throughout the world, starting with being in Mexico, which has been the biggest gift that I've ever given myself in my whole entire life. So I'll see you in the next moment. But until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Love and peace to all of you. Have the best week.
Thank you for tuning in for a Monday Moment with Dr. Mal, now proudly a part of the Alive Podcast Network. You can find this show on the Live Podcast Network website and app, and you can find this podcast streaming across your favorite podcast streaming platforms. If you love to have the visual, you can tune into my YouTube channel, When Mallory Lives, to see this show and catch up on all my shows from the beginning.